It's our favorite day of the week with the Sarasota Manatee Originals. We're in our Rice's Appliance Kitchen, and we are celebrating Forks and Corks Wine Week. The founder, the original of the original, the OG original, Michael Klauber from Michael's Wine Cellar, and Michael's on East is here with us today. We are going to talk winning wines from Forks and Corks. Before this starts, I feel like you need to tell everybody why Forks and Corks is so special and what a big deal it is to have it here on the Suncoast.
You know, it's something that came out of the originals, and we're celebrating all the fabulous restaurants in our region. And what better way to match them up with some of the greatest winemakers in the world? In an incredible location. Our big grand tasting is at the Ringling Museum, but the whole idea was to celebrate our local independent restaurants through the originals, all our members, and then bringing in the top winemakers in the world.
It is one of my favorite events, and the originals is one of my favorite concepts because we talk so much on this show about celebrating and living local, and that is what you are all about. So thank you for putting this together. We've got a couple of fun behind-the-scenes events going on. You did a judging earlier this month, correct?
A couple of months ago we did. So we had over 300 wines that were submitted from all the different wineries that are participating, and they can submit up to 2 wines.
And we're talking worldwide, correct?
Yes. Oh yes, from all over the world. And then we had 20 professional judges, all sommeliers that are certified. We put them in the wine cellar, and they each have their own little booth, and they're tasting flights at a time, and so they narrow it down to their basically their top 10 across the board.
And this is a published list, by the way, which I think is very exciting because it's here. I think we can find that list in other locations as well.
Yes.
And so here's the thing. Even if you aren't able to go to some of the events this weekend, you can see this list. You can know what is being an awarded wine, and you can find these wines across the Suncoast and at Michael's Wine Cellar.
It's interesting because they were from all over the world, and South America, Germany, obviously California, a lot of French wines. And so we narrow it down to the top 10, and then all the judges get together and they all taste the top 10, and out of that we end up with the best of show white and the best of show red.
It's like Miss America for wine.
Pretty incredible.
It's the unveiling is incredible.
Even just the organization that happens to get, I mean, you can see
You're
here.
seeing those pictures
they're all
right now.
separated from each other. They are not allowed to be like, what did you think of this one? You know, it's fair. They take it very seriously. Michael and his team does a great job.
What a cool setup. I really love that everybody's seeing this.
And why so many French wines?
Just that's who submitted to come to the event.
Okay.
So we invite wineries from all over the world, literally hundreds of them, and we end up with about 60 that can actually make it. Most of them bring owners and winemakers here. So we've got some really celebrated wineries where the owner is going to be here, and that's what we try to do. And that also pans out into all the wine dinners that we do around town.
With the Originals restaurants.
With Originals restaurants, and you can go to the website now because there's still a few that still have spaces.
Okay, we'll put that website up, eatlikealocal.com/Forks and Corks. You can check the wine dinners around the area. I know I saw Kalukan on the list. There's some still available. Some of our very favorite restaurants.
Madison's.
There's an online auction.
There is.
Where you can bid on wines. So many different things. It's not just about the grand tasting. But right now, it is about tasting, and I'm secretly very excited about that. Let's unveil the winning white and winning red.
So the winning white is from Italy, and it's from a region called Soave, which back in the day, Soave was pretty common. But Roberto Anselmi really broke the mold in that region and started, you know, cropping tighter, being more focused on certain vineyards.
I'm going to grab this from you.
Yep.
Because they're going to get a shot for me.
So
I like this. Wow.
And Linda, remember the rule about smelling the wine? You're not
Linda knows how to smell the wine.
smelling the wine unless the bridge of your nose touches the top of the glass. And you can smell that. There's
It's
a
really
little bit of tropical fruit.
Yes, it's
These
very
wines are typically, the Garganega grape is very soft.
It's beautiful.
And so they do age this in a little bit of oak.
Price point?
In the 20s.
That's incredible.
No.
So let me make sure we all understand this. The #1 wine from hundreds at Forks and Corks for white wine is in the $20 price range.
Yes.
And this is what you're all
Amazing.
about at Michael's Wine Cellar. Wines don't have to be
well,
expensive.
it is. I mean, anybody can find all the big names. The fun is to
Right.
find these little gems like this
Right.
one.
This is
I
fantastic.
love this. It
And
is
that's
fantastic.
chosen from 20 somms, so it's
Yes.
not, you know, they know what they're
Oh,
talking
these
about.
people know what they're
Right.
talking about. Absolutely.
Right.
It's a very soft wine, really easy drinking, and the red is actually from one of our great friends all the way from South Africa.
Oh, really?
So yes, and Charles Coetzee, who's the general manager and the winemaker, is flying here for the event again. This is a Shiraz, which is also called Syrah in a lot of places. So
Okay.
if you think of
I'm gonna grab
the
that
Rhone
one
Valley
too.
in France, all the original cuttings in South Africa came from France. So
So the award-winning red is a Syrah, which is not always probably anybody's first thought.
they'll call it Syrah or Shiraz. In this case, they call it Shiraz.
Right.
And again, we're talking about in the 20s. This is not a 100 or
red
200
wine?
for a
That
red
is
wine.
amazing.
It's really
And all of these wines will be indicated. The winners will be indicated on each of the booths, so that when
Yes.
you're going down and traveling through the Ringling Courtyard, you'll be able to
Right.
see which ones are the award.
And I know Michael highlights them at Michael's Wine Cellar as well. If
Yes,
you go to Michael's
absolutely.
Wine Cellar and ask, they will be able to show you some of the Forks and Corks wines. Don't be intimidated by wine. If there's one thing Michael has taught me that I'm forever grateful for, great wine only has to cost in the $20 price
Yeah.
range.
I
Yep.
always went for the higher price, thinking, well, the higher price, the better it is. I have
Not
learned
always
from
true.
you,
You know,
not
you have
so much.
wines that get 95 points that are $20 and wines that get that many points and they're $300.
And thank
Which
you
one do you
for
want?
teaching us
Yes.
that.
Right.
Exactly. 95 points is 95 points. A good wine from an expert is priceless no matter the price tag. Here's what you need to know. EatLikeALocal.com for everything Sarasota Manatee Originals /Forks and Corks for everything going on this week. Cheers to local.